Set 4.5, the Festival of Beasts, is out, and with the new set comes a new ranked season, which means a lot of us will be back on the ranked grind. TFT is a complicated game, so if you're looking to improve your gameplay, today I've compiled a list of top 5 mistakes new players make when starting out in TFT. Hopefully these tips will help you to climb ranked, so stay tuned till the end of the video. The first mistake that new players often make is not leveling up fast enough. Often, new players choose to spend their gold re-rolling for units rather than leveling up. What you need to keep in mind is that leveling up not only gives you the ability to add an additional unit to your board, which potentially allows you to complete more synergies, it also gives you access to stronger, more powerful units. That's why in the early game, your priority should be to spend your excess gold on leveling up. Like everything in this game, there are exceptions to this rule. If you're looking to complete an early 3-star unit that will give your board a huge power boost and safely transition you into the late game, you can consider rolling at the appropriate level. Another exception is when your board is extremely weak and you need to find 1 or 2 upgrades so that you don't die too quickly and can make it safely to the late game. The next mistake new players make is trying to upgrade too many units on their board from 2-star to 3-star. The first reason why this is a mistake is because the amount of gold required to make a 3-star unit is extremely high, and chasing 3-star units is often an inefficient use of your gold. To give you an example, the total cost of upgrading a 3-cost unit from 1-star to 2-star is 9 gold. The total cost of upgrading it further to 3-star is 27 gold, which is 3 times as much. The thing is that until you actually complete your 3-star unit, you're not actually impacting your board at all, and potentially wasting up to 15 gold that could be better spent elsewhere. The second reason is because it's often very difficult to complete 3-star units. Before trying to complete a 3-star unit, you should always ask yourself, if I'm able to complete this 3-star unit, will it win me the game? Unless the 3-star unit you're chasing is game-winningly good, it is always correct to invest your gold into more reliable sources of power, such as additional levels or upgrading the rest of your board to 2-star units. The last reason you should not chase too many 3-star units is because most units are very effective at what they do even at 2-star, and don't provide a significant enough power boost at 3-star in order to merit the amount of gold and time required to get them there. In fact, it is quite common to win games without ever upgrading a single one of your units to 3-star, and relying instead on powerful synergies, traits, and good items. The next mistake new players commonly make is waiting too long to use their items. The primary function of using your items early is to conserve as much of your health as possible. Keep in mind, you don't even need to commit a full item, but sometimes even just using your item components will give your board a significant power boost, which will either tip the fight enough to win, or at least help you kill an additional unit or 2 on a loss. Every additional unit you kill saves you a little bit of HP, and every point of HP you lose adds up. Remember, more HP means more time, and your goal should be to reach the late game with a sizable HP pool so that you have as much time as possible to stabilize and reach your board's highest power potential, often referred to as capping out your board. One word of warning, however, when committing items early, try to think about which units are going to be part of your final composition and which units will not. It is easy to commit items to units that you know you'll eventually sell, but be careful of committing items to a unit that will be in your final comp but may not be your primary carry. You don't want to end up in a situation where you're forced to sell a unit and remake it because you need those items for someone else. The fourth mistake new players make is not scouting their opponent's boards throughout different phases of the game. Try to get into the habit of looking at your opponent's boards, and while you do, here are some key pieces of information that you should look for while you scout. The first thing you should pay attention to is what compositions your opponents are playing. There are only a limited number of each champion in the pool, so bear in mind, the more people that are playing a similar composition as you, the more difficult it will be to find certain units. You should always scout what other compositions people are playing before locking yourself into a comp. And if a comp is highly contested, sometimes you will have much more success switching to a comp that's wide open. Another thing to look for while you're scouting is positioning. Now, positioning is a very complex topic that warrants its own video. And if you want more details, you can check out my previous positioning video for a more in-depth guide. However, Keep in mind that positioning, especially when it comes to the last 2 to 3 players in the lobby, plays a huge role in determining who comes out on top. Making sure your key units don't get hit by enemy Zephyrs or Shrouds can make or break a fight. So remember, scout and keep tabs on how your opponents are positioning their units. The last, and probably most important reason to scout what your opponents are doing is because you will often have the opportunity to counter your opponent's strategy with your composition, positioning, and items. Is there a lot of magic damage in the lobby? Maybe you can slot in 2 mystics into your comp. Are there a lot of assassins? Perhaps you can backline your entire team to protect your carries. Is there a strong carry tucked away in the corner? Perhaps you can add a unit to your team that will pull their carries out of the corner so that you can kill them more quickly. There are lots of opportunities to outplay your opponents with your build, positioning, and item choices, so it's always a good idea to keep an eye on what your opponents are doing. The last mistake new players make is a simple one, which is not knowing what's good in the current meta. This seems like an easy mistake to make, and you might say, but I'm a new player, how should I know what's good in the meta? But bear in mind, sometimes all it takes is a few minutes of quick research to help you make much more informed choices when you head into a game. It's true that really getting a feeling of which items, units, and compositions are strong and suit your playstyle is certainly something that comes with time and experience. But don't underestimate the value of using the resources available to you, such as online tier lists, meta reports, and watching pro players play and paying attention to what decisions they make. Remember, the more information you have, the easier it will be to make correct decisions. And the more correct decisions you make, the more consistently you'll place higher in your ranked games. Okay, that about wraps it up for this video. Hopefully these tips help you in your ranked climb during this next season. If you have any other tips you'd like to offer for newer players, I'd love to hear about them in the comments, and I'm sure newer players watching this video would appreciate them as well. Okay, that's it for me. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.